Hey everybody, Jason here with J. Scott Property Management. Today what we're going to talk about is what a property management company actually does. So of course, when I'm talking to new clients, I work with a lot of clients that this is going to be their first time owning a rental property for whatever reason, whether it's inherited, whether they had it on the market and it didn't sell, and now they're wanting to try to cover some of their costs until the market turns around. Whatever the situation is, a lot of the folks that I speak with are new to the industry. They don't quite know how to manage the property themselves. But they don't know how a property management company works either. So I wanted to do a quick video on the 10,000 foot view of what we do, what I do as a property management company for our clients. So first and foremost, when a property is turned over, a lot of times it's vacant. So the things that we're going to do is we're going to start out with the marketing of the property. What that means is we're going to take photographs. We're going to do walkthrough videos. We're going to look around the neighborhood, figure out what the benefits of the neighborhood are. What highways is it close to? What employers is it close to? What type of shopping is in the area? Are there parks? Is there a community pool? All that information. We're going to gather, of course, obviously, property information, and we're going to use all of that to create a property description and start to put together the listing. Now, I would say about 97-98% of all marketing is happening online these days through the various websites. That wasn't always the case, and there's still some situations where a yard sign is good, and there's some other things you can do in terms of networking and cross-selling, but a bulk of what I've seen and where I've seen the marketing efforts go is to the online listing services, the internet listing services, the Zillows, the Redfins, things like that. So we're going to prepare that listing. We're going to grab those photos and the video and all that stuff. We're going to put together in a nice package that makes people, with the intent of making people or getting people to want to call us to get more information about that property. That also includes doing the rent analysis, setting the rent rates, and that type of thing as well. From there, we're going to show the home as many times as necessary. Once we get an application on the property, we're going to screen those applicants, and then we're going to compare that to our written screening criteria for that property and make sure that they are qualified to lease the home, which just basically means they just have to check all the boxes. Do they make 3 times the amount of rent? Do they have good rental history for the last 3 years? Any evictions? Do they owe other landlords any money? All of those things. Once we find somebody that meets that approval or that screening criteria and we get them approved, then we are going to kind of move into the move-in process stage of property management. And really what we're doing here is we're preparing all the lease paperwork, all the addendums. We are making sure utilities are transferred over. We're collecting the deposit. We're collecting the first month's rent or prorated, however that works, for whatever company you're working with, and really just going down those checklist items, making sure everything is taken care of and getting prepared for the move-in, making copies of the keys, all those things. Once we get the lease executed, the keys turned over, and that property turned over to them, from there it kind of goes into a maintenance period for the next 9-10 months until whenever you start up your lease renewal process. But what that means is we're going to be collecting rent every month. We're going to be taking maintenance calls that may come in. Different companies handle that in different ways. For us, we'll handle maintenance however you'd like us to. But we are at the minimum, we're going to take those calls. We're going to try to troubleshoot. We're going to gather that information and come up with some hopefully solutions for the property owner. And then at the end of every month, we're going to prepare a set of financial reports, and we have some standard reports, an income statement or a profit and loss, depending, what you're familiar with, balance sheet, rent roll, payables, delinquency, are pretty standard reports. The other thing we do, though, is a summary letter. So all those reports, what they're designed to do is show the financial activity of the property. In most cases, it's a pretty simple equation. Rents come in, management fee is paid, net income is what's left over, that's what's sent over to the owner. At least with us, our communication is set up in such a way that, we don't like surprises. So we set our communication up in such a way to where when owners get those reports, they're not being caught by surprise with any maintenance expenses. So usually they know what's going on. But what we do in addition to the report is we cap it off with a summary letter explaining any of that activity, just in case there is a need for more detail. It's also great for documentation purposes. And then from there, if the property owner has questions, more questions, there of course, I encourage them to reach out so we can go through and make sure that they understand everything that's happened. So that's kind of the month-end reporting process. And that repeats until we get to I'd say about 90 days out in most cases, and that's when I start looking at the renewal process. So what's going to happen there is I'm going to have a conversation with the property owner. We're going to look at what the market's doing, what the rent rates are in the area. I guess figure out, make sure, one, that they even want to renew the lease in the first place. But if they do, figure out that other stuff. And then whatever we decide to do in that conversation, I'm going to go out there and try to make that happen. If the owner wants to go a different direction with that tenant, doesn't want to renew, or if the tenant decides that they want to move out, then that kind of moves us into the move out part of the overall process. Really, this is about getting possession of the property back, obviously. So, we're going to make sure we have the correct notice. We're going to, schedule a time for the move out inspection. We're going to collect the keys. We're going to charge their deposit for any damages that are found, and we're going to make sure to get that deposit reconciliation and any funds, if any, sent back to the tenant within that 14-day period. At least Arizona allows. Different states are going to be different time periods, so make sure to know your laws. But for us, 14 days. And of course, I want to get that done ASAP. So from there, it kind of just starts over again. The property's vacant now. Of course, we got turnover maintenance, if anything. Maybe we need to get it cleaned, whatever we have to do there. But once that's completed, then that process starts over again, and we start with the marketing. So it's just one big cycle. There are, of course, a lot of things that happen in those cycles. I can really get into the weeds here, but we're just looking at a big picture view. Now, I would say that for most property management companies, that's property management 101. I mean, those are going to be pretty much the same things that all property management companies go through. I think what differentiates where you, if you're looking and researching property management companies, the things you need to figure out is for example, what do I do different? Where do I differentiate myself? Why am I better than my competition? And I think a lot of this comes down to things like communication, responsiveness, being able to be flexible, which depending on the size of the management company, it could be a little, it could be a lot, it could be none. It just kind of depends. And it really just kind of boils back down to customer service. How well are your systems designed? Are they going to catch those red flags that we should be looking for as property managers to protect your property? Quarterly inspections, things like that. And then I would say the final thing is, especially if you're looking for a property management company, is interview some, have some conversations. I think, a lot of it really comes down to gut feeling in some cases. Of course, all of the empirical information is obviously going to be, you're going to want to know what their fees are. You're going to want to make sure you're comfortable with all of that. But if you're not comfortable in terms of the relationship side of it, your level of comfort with them, and maybe you don't think you're going to work well with that person, then keep looking, because that is a big part of it as well. So that's what I got for today in terms of what we do as a property management company, kind of that 10,000-foot view. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave comments, shoot me an email, call, text message, whatever you're most comfortable with. More than happy to answer anything that I can and help where I can. So thanks again for watching. This is Jason with J. Scott Property Management, and we will see you next time.